Well, I'm Pennywise the dancing clown.
What is going on, my friends? Welcome back to Amusement Time. Today we are diving back into the collection and we're checking out all of my Pennywise and It Funko Pops that I've gathered and collected for over the last couple years. Some of these pops are kind of old and a little hard to find, and some of these were also my first chases that I ever found in the wild. So you know what, guys? Let's check them out. Alright guys, before we get started, do me one quick favor, hit that like button. If you're new here, click the subscribe button, it definitely does help us out. Alright guys, so I've always been an It fan. I loved the original miniseries with Tim Curry. It scared me as a little kid, of course, you know, so I was always scared. That was one that I remember we used to hide the VHS, go and hide the VHS behind like the washing machine as little kids and stuff like that. That and Willy Wonka for some reason. I guess my parents said we were afraid of the Oompa Loompas as kids, but ain't that funny? But I love the movies now, you know, but it was still one of our favorite movies, you know, and it's surprisingly being afraid of clowns as a kid, and now of course I love Pennywise and I love Art the Clown and stuff like that. How ironic is that? Believe it or not, the very first ones I got wasn't the original Tim Curry It that they made, but it's actually from the remake. The very first Pennywise from the remake of It, guys. And it's a pretty dope pop. And if you guys remember, there was a fiasco that happened with this pop. If you see that there's two of them, you know, and the box has yellow eyes, and both pops have two different colored eyes. One has blue and one has yellow. I want to say the very first wave, when they put them out, they had blue eyes. You know, and a lot of people were saying it's from when Pennywise is talking to Georgie, you could see his eyes change from blue to yellow, you know, because you could see when he's like trying to lure Georgie, he has the blue eyes, like trying to be kind. And then, you know, once he finally has him, you could see his eyes change from blue to yellow, and that was the purpose of the change. And some people also said is that originally the eyes were supposed to be yellow on the pop, and for some reason they mistakenly put blue, and that's why the yellow eyes are on the box, but for some reason the pop had blue eyes, and they said that was a mistake, so they've corrected it on the second wave. But who knows, guys, because which story do you prefer? Because you do see his eyes change colors in the movie, you know, when Georgie's finally reaching for the boat, you know, but there was clearly a fiasco with this pop. So the very first wave, when they put it out, it had blue eyes on the pop, yellow on the box, and then the second wave, when they re-put it out, they put it with the yellow eyes, I guess. Who knows what the fiasco was? You know, it could have been something that they just made the mistake, or it could have been the cool story of how Pennywise's eyes would change, you know, as he's luring his prey. Who knows? But as we could see with the initial Pennywise pop, it's Pennywise, and he's holding the boat. He's holding SS Georgie, you know, probably ready to lure him down into the gutter, which is another pop we have. We'll have to check that one out in a little bit. But how cool is that? He's holding SS Georgie in his hand, ready to lure Georgie down, and the chase is the same. Let's take a look at that. And there was the exact same fiasco, but this time it was with the box instead of the pop itself, because the chase was a sepia tone, so it's supposed to be like not really any color. There is red on it, obviously, but it's a sepia tone chase. And apparently they did the same fiasco with the box. So the first time they put it out, it had blue eyes on the box, and then the second time they corrected it and the chase has yellow eyes. So how funny is that? Because with both of them, you know, the original pop, it was the actual pop itself and not the box. The box was correct, but the eyes on the actual pop were wrong. And on this one, it was just the box, you know. So how weird is that? Is that like the box even on the original one had yellow eyes, but the box on the chase had blue. So it was such a weird fiasco that happened with this pop, you know. But it was another reason why I was like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna have to hunt down the chase just to kind of have them both in the collection, because it was a cool little story, cool little backstory of how they had to remake it with the correct color eyes on the box and on the pop, you know. That was kind of funny. And this was one of the very first chases we ever found in the wild. I remember Brickseeker back in the day, before you had to pay for it, you used to be able to put the UPC in, and it would pull up what Targets or what Walmarts had the items you were looking for, and you could see if they had got them into stock, you know. So I remember one day, I was just gotten out of work back in the day, and I checked, and Brickseek did get the brand new horror sets, and at the time, they were getting the Pennywise, and they were getting the Jack Torrance. They were also getting the Jack Torrance in, so there was the chance of getting both of them. And I remember luckily I asked the employee to see if he could check the back for the box, and they did have the box. And I luckily that's when I found the second Chase Pennywise, and I also found the Chase Jack Torrance. So 2 chases in 1 score, guys. It was a really awesome day, you know. But how cool is that? You know, so there's 2 different ones. They're both the exact same pop itself, but the box is different. Just the box, you know, but crazy story for that one. Yeah, so the same thing must have happened with this Walmart one. This was the very first Walmart exclusive they put out with them. I don't know if they've put out another Walmart exclusive Pennywise, but the same thing happened, of course. Blue eyes on this one, yellow eyes on this one. This one, it's not the box. The box had to have been correct, apparently, but the eyes on the pop itself were not. So, of course, we had to find both of them, too, which wasn't, at the time, it wasn't too hard to, of course, get these ones. I want to say the hardest one was the chase, the second chase, but other than that, it was pretty easy peasy to find the second colored eyes. But how funny, because we have the very first Pennywise, and then we have the Chase and the Walmart exclusive. Both of them had mix-ups with the eyes, either on the box or on the pop itself, so we had to get them twice, But what a funny story with those pops. Next up, we have all of the kids from it. So, of course, we have Bill, and Bill, he's just holding a flashlight. I've never unboxed him. It looks like he has his backpack on, too, but it's just Bill holding his flashlight, ready to go search for his brother Georgie, that. Next up we have Eddie Kasprak, but as you see, this one's pretty cute. He has his inhaler, and he also has the cast. I don't know if you can kind of see, but it also has the loser, and then it has the crossed out where it says lover on it. That's pretty cute. Oh, let's see if I can get it to focus a little bit better on it, but that's a cute one because he has his cast, and he has his inhaler, which is battery acid, you slime. Well, there's Bill, there's Eddie. Let's find the rest of the gang. We got Stanley, and if you see, he has the pipe that he hits Pennywise with when they're all fighting him at the end of the first one. So at least he has the pipe. He did some good, right? Next up, we have Mike Hanlon. This one's pretty cool because he has like that cattle gun. You know how it was like some kind of humane, I guess it was humane, I don't know, it doesn't seem, and is any way humane, really, but it was like some kind of cattle gun that it used the pressured air, the compressed air, it was almost like an air compressor that shot out like a dart, but he has that in his hand, and he also has like the, what would it be, like CO2, the CO2 cartridges around, so that's pretty cool. At least they put some pretty decent details into these ones, it looks like they're all ready for battle, huh? Next up we have Ben, and this one is a glow-in-the-dark, and if you can see in his hand, he has the Easter egg. He's holding an Easter egg from, remember, when he's in the library reading up on Derry's history. And this one's a glow-in-the-dark. I've never taken it out of the box to see how it glows. I wonder if it's just, I think it's just the Easter egg that glows. If I'm not mistaken, I want to say it's just the egg in his hand that glows. But one day we're going to have to, take it out of the box and, see how it glows. Next up we have Richie Tozer, and Richie Tozer has his bat. You know what he's ready to do with that bat.
And now, I'm gonna have to kill this fucking clown.
Yeah, besides Ben, it seems like they're all pretty much ready to kick Pennywise's butt. No, wouldn't you say? And this one's cool too. It's a Beverly Marsh, and this one's cool because it has a chase. As you see, it's just regular Beverly Marsh and the regular Funko Pop. There's her necklace, her in her dress. But the chase is really cool because it's after the blood comes out of the sink, and it's bloody Beverly Marsh, So when after all the blood comes out of the sink and covers her in blood, So I thought that was a pretty creative chase. They went pretty hard with these ones, because we got so many Pennywise because of the fiasco, and we got the Beverly Marsh chase, and the Georgie has a chase too. We'll check those ones out, but which one do you guys prefer from the chase or the original for the Beverly Marshes, guys? The bloody one or regular Beverly? I have to admit, the bloody one, that was pretty creative, pretty clever. I dig that one. Next up we have poor little Georgie, guys, and you can see he's in his yellow raincoat. He's ready to go play with his boat that he has in his hand, the SS Georgie. As you can see, it even says it on it. How cute, guys. Georgie in his little raincoat. And of course, this one had a chase as well, and the chase is freaking awesome. Bloody Georgie, his arm is gone because, of course, Pennywise got to him, so there's before and after Georgie. And as you can see, he's paler. You can clearly see his complexion is a lot paler. So Georgie's clearly Gonzo's in this pop, clearly with his arm being ripped off. Which one do you guys prefer from the Georgie pop? Regular Georgie or the Chase Georgie? Oh, poor Georgie. No more SS Georgie, because now he can't hold it because his arm's gone. Well, which one do you guys prefer? Let me know. Next up, we have this Amazon exclusive Pennywise. As you can see, he has blood around his mouth and a little bit on, like, what would it be, like his collar, I guess you could say, and he's holding a bloody arm. Is it Georgie's arm? I don't know. Whose arm was it? Remember when he was munching on the arm when Mike was getting bullied, I want to say, in the field, and you could see Pennywise off in the distance, and he's there and he waves at him with the hand. I want to say this is from that scene, you know. So whose fingers was he munching on, you know? But that's from there. So he's holding the hand that he waves at Mike with, you know. So that one's a pretty cool, and I had to pick that one up, you know. And of course, at the time, I was trying to complete the collection. I didn't know they were going to make so many. Not to mention that there's new ones for Welcome to Derry that we're definitely going to have to pick up. Well, not all the Periwinkles. They definitely made too many of those. Like, who needs the original Periwinkle? That was a little excessive. But look how cool these original ones are. It's all bloody. It's cool how they even put like the blood splatter on the box. That's when they started getting creative with the box too. Look, it still has the Amazon exclusive sticker. You know, do they even do those anymore? Probably not. Now it's just gonna be all the same Funko exclusive sticker. But there's Pennywise munching on a bloody hand. Whose hand is it? We don't know. Is it Georgie's? I don't know. Whose hand do you think it is? But you guys remember the scene when he uses it to wave? That's what this pop is from. From It Chapter 2, we have like Bob Gray. It's Pennywise, but when he's it says Pennywise Meltdown. So you remember when Beverly Marsh sees Bob Gray when she's in Mrs. Kirsch's house, you know, and kind of see him like scraping along his face, but it's clearly Pennywise, you know. But when you kind of first get the original Bob Gray backstory before Welcome to Derry, that's what this pop is from. So how cool is that? That's actually a pretty creative pop too. I dig that one. Next up we have the Pennywise with like the spider arms. So from the very end of It Chapter 1, when they're all fighting him, and there's him with his spider arms trying to attack him. That's actually pretty cool. So a lot of these ones I wish I would have gotten doubles back in the day for these ones to display, you know, because part of me wants to display some of these so hard, you know, because they're so awesome. This one and this next FYE exclusive that I'm about to show you, oh dang, I wish I could display them, you know. But how cool is this one with his spider arms? What do you guys think of that one? We got two FYE exclusives. This one is the first one, and it has Pennywise with his mouth. But see, this is another thing. See, the eyes are yellow on the box, but the eyes are blue on the pop. I wonder if they ever made that one with the different colored eyes. I'm gonna have to look into that one. Now that's got me curious because I do not remember. But seeing how the box is different than the eyes, oh, now it's really got me wondering. Yeah, I'm not too sure exactly what scene it's from, but it's clearly a scene from when Pennywise is opening his mouth, you know, getting ready to bite, because it looks like the teeth are widening and they're getting sharp, you know. But that one's pretty cool. But I have to admit, the other FYE exclusive is even better. Get out of the way. This one is Pennywise with the rod, like the iron rod in his head, from It Chapter 1 when they're first go into the house. It looks like it's like what would it be? It kind of looks like a curtain rod or something into his head. It's some kind of metal iron rod into his head. But how freaking awesome. You can see his head all distorted from the rod going through it. Definitely cool. Check out the box. I always thought this one was really clever. This is one that I really want to display because of that metal rod going through his head. How freaking cool. What do you guys think? I have to admit, it's better than the other FYA exclusive. But now I'm super curious, seeing how this one has blue eyes and yellow eyes on the box, and how this one has clearly yellow eyes, you know. But now I wonder if there was once one of these with yellow eyes. Dang, I'm going to have to look that up. Let me know if you guys find out. But I'm going to have to look it up too, because now I'm curious to see if I'm going to have to hunt one down. It probably wouldn't be too hard to find if there is one, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Dang, this box has seen better days. Which one do you guys prefer from the FYE exclusives? I want to say there's more too. Next up we have some Hot Topic exclusives, and these ones are pretty much identical. The only difference is one's metallic. But see, this one is the first one, and they did it again with how the box has yellow eyes, and then the pop has blue eyes. And then look at this one, the metallic, the box has blue eyes, and the pop has yellow. What are they doing to me, guys? You know, how crazy. But this one, it's Pennywise holding the balloon. Of course, Pennywise has to have a balloon in some of the pops, you know, or at least one of the pops, right, guys? I want to say this is the first one of him holding a balloon. We've seen him holding the SS Georgie. We've seen him holding a hand, a whole bunch of different things. But first one with the balloon was the Hot Topic exclusive. And this one came out first. And then the metallic one, in order to get that one, they put out a box that came with a t-shirt, I want to say. And I never really wore the t-shirt. You know, I believe I never wore the t-shirt, but I definitely had to get the box just to get the metallic, you know, exclusive that goes with the first one. Which one do you guys prefer, the metallic or the regular? This is actually probably the first time that I prefer the metallic. You know, look how cool it shines. It's actually a pretty dope pop. But dang, they're getting to me, guys, because I never noticed this. I always noticed with the original Pennywise and, of course, the Chase and with the Walmart ones, but I never noticed this either. This is the first time. I've had these pops for like 5 years, for a long time, maybe longer, since they came out. I've literally had these pops since they came out. Once these ones dropped, I got them. You know, so if you can remember, let me know down in the comments, but I want to say it's like over 5 years. It's probably even longer, because the last 5 years have flown by, so it's probably like 7, 8 years ago. I really don't know. When did It Chapter 1 come out? Because it had to have been around It Chapter 1, It Chapter 2, so what, 2017, 2019, that time, so it was around like 6, 7 years? Dang, that's a long time ago, and this is the first time I'm realizing that these boxes is the same situation with the box. Blue eyes, yellow eyes on the pop. This one came out first, yellow eyes on the box, blue eyes on the pop. What the heck? What a fiasco, and how crazy it is that I guess they're just trying to keep us on our toes, you know, but I'm pretty sure, like they said, it had to do with his eyes changing. You know, when he's talking to his prey, they're blue, but when he finally gets them, they change back to yellow, you know. But how crazy, you know, like I said, I've had these pops for like 7 years, and I've never noticed that it was the same situation on the box and the pop. Oh my goodness, you know, every day's a new adventure, am I right? Alright guys, last but not least, we have the Pennywise in the Gutter Hot Topic exclusive. This one is probably my favorite out of all the Pennywise pops because it's the classic scene that everybody remembers from the miniseries, from the remake. This is the classic scene, you know, that probably traumatized majority of people, you know, is when Pennywise got Georgie, you know, from the gutter. And there's Pennywise down there with his blue eyes. Could you imagine if they would have put out another one with the yellow? Oh my goodness, that would have pissed me off. No, but there's Georgie in his yellow raincoat. There's the water even draining down into the gutter, you know, and there's Pennywise, like I say, with his blue eyes. Classic scene. We also have one of these unboxed because I got my son one and he wanted to unbox it. So you know what? Let's take a closer look at it unboxed. Yeah, so Cameron wanted to unbox them. I was like, hey, that'd be cool, you know, so you can get a closer look at it and we can actually see it better from the outside of the big old box, you know. But there's Georgie, the water running down. You can even see that they even added grass, you know, from above the, what would that be, from above the sewer drain. You know, there's grass. That's really clever. The detail that they put into this one was actually really cool. But there's even the SS Georgie. There's Georgie's boat about to go down into the gutter. I'd have to say this one's my favorite out of all of the It Pops in my collection. Of course, this is the most traumatic scene, the scene that everybody remembers. My favorite scene, probably, I'd have to say, from the It movies. I don't know, the end of the miniseries, when they're all facing him in the sewer, is pretty cool, too. But this is, of course, one of the most iconic scenes. There's SS Georgie going into the gutter, Pennywise about to get Georgie, you know, and of course, we all know what happens to poor Georgie after this encounter, guys, you know. But how creative is that Hot Topic exclusive? I have to admit, it's my favorite. I hope they do more creative scenes like this, you know. That's why it was cool to see this one, what was it, the Art vs. Sienna. I love seeing creative pops like that too, with the bigger scenes or the movie moments, you know. So hopefully they keep doing some cool movie moments, you know, and go back to some awesome horror scenes and just keep them creative, because they didn't even have to put the grass here, but the fact that they did that, oh my goodness, you know, awesome, you know. So I love to see stuff like that, you know. So this one is such a dope pop. What do you guys think about it? You know, ooh, look, there's a better look at Pennywise down there. That's pretty cool. It's literally like a legit whole head. What do you guys think about it? Alright my friends, I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me and checking out my Pennywise and It Funko Pop collection. Do me one quick favor, hit that like button. If you're new here, click that subscribe button. It definitely does help us out. And let me know down in the comments, guys, which one is your favorite Funko Pop from my Pennywise/It collection, guys. There's so many to choose from, but let me know. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me, and until next time, I'll see you guys later.